Okay, so you have to know about the secret door, and then you got to go down a flight of steps. Danger, high voltage. Let's not go there. Welcome back to Show and Tell. I'm Billie. Today's episode is packed with a bunch of random things. I will be showing you several different things that I'm knitting on. I have acquisitions this week. It's so rare, as you know, since I don't stash and I only buy yarn as I am approaching a new project. So stick around because I have that to share. And at the very, very end, I'm going to catch you up on some of my comings and goings around town. But let me actually begin with a kind of mystical visit to a new to me local yarn shop. It's a very well kept secret, but after this video, I hope it will no longer be a secret. It's underground in Manhattan. The interesting thing about New York City is the buildings are tall, and many things that you come and see as tourists are on the ground level. But what you don't know is upstairs, downstairs, inside of buildings. They could be office buildings. They could be some other type of commercial building. There's all these secret things, and they're not visible at the street, so you may not necessarily know about them. I've taken you to Mood Fabric, which is on several floors up inside of a building. Today, I'm going to take you into the basement of a building in Midtown Manhattan that has been involved with wool for different reasons over the past 40 years, but they're venturing out into knitting and crochet yarns now. And, well, I guess I should just talk about my acquisition because it's staring you in the face. The place is called HM Nabavian. It sounds like a rug shop because it actually does repair rugs. And because of the repairs that they do, they've needed to have yarns in every single color. So they have yarn in over 1,000 colors. These are made of a British wool called Appletons. When I felt it, it felt very rustic to me, kind of like the yarns that I was feeling in the Shetland Islands that I shied away from buying. But the nice people at Nabavian let me take several samples. I wanted to knit up swatches for them so that people would be able to see how it looks when it's knit up, even with a little bit of color work, but also how it feels after a soaking and a blocking. So these are still on my blocking board. They're not quite dry yet, but I just wanted to show you. These are just 3 of over 1,000 colors. This swatch I did on a size 5 needle, 6 needle, and 7 US. And I'm in the camp of putting little yarn overs there to indicate the needle size so that I don't have to tag it, I don't have to try and remember it. Anyway, they are starting to introduce some other luxury yarns, but luxury yarns at what I thought were kind of reasonable prices. So I am finishing up several projects. I sort of lied. I'm not going to get into my acquisitions just yet because I want to talk about how I arrived at even contemplating acquisitions, because you know where I sit on that. So my last FO, which I showed in the last episode, is the Hope pullover. We talked about it at great length, Cindy, Nicolette, and I. But what I didn't talk about was my finishing technique. The pattern called for a picot edge, but you have options of how you want to achieve this. So the pattern tells you to knit down, do the picot thing, and then keep knitting, and then you fold this under. But how you go about picking it up is kind of up to you. She does include a video, which I think, I didn't look at it because I think it involved just picking up the stitches. But since Cindy had knit hers in the DK weight, she finished hers a lot quicker than I did with fingering. And she said to me, oh, it was so difficult to pick up the stitches to make this hem. So I decided to use a technique that I have used before, which is to knit the live stitches together with a row that already exists. It's complicated to explain, but I put together a video which I'll insert here to show you exactly how I did that. Today I wanted to show you how to finish a hem in a very easy way as you go. So I have finished doing the number of rows on a smaller needle for my hem, done the yarn overs to create the picot edge, and knit the same number of rows that will be on the flip side. So the hem will look like that. Now in order to achieve that, what I've done is I have threaded a smaller needle through the right leg of all of those stitches. And actually, I need this needle on the inside of the work now. It's easier to do it on the outside. And then I just push that through. And what I'm going to do is make like a little sandwich, a little pocket there, and do a 3-needle bind off, a conventional 3-needle bind off, as a way of finishing the very last bit of this sweater. So I'm going to go into the front loop, into, they're mounted it backwards, so I'm going to go into the back loop and knit both of those. First that one off. Whoops. The front one came off already. Let's put it back on. And then through the front stitch and off. Let me do that another few times for you to see. So into both of those, knit through that back stitch and off. Through the front stitch and off. And now that I have 2 stitches, I do like a bind off, like a normal bind off. So into these, knit through that one and through this one. Maybe it's better to do them 2 at a time. Slip that one off and slip that one off, and then that stitch over the front stitch to do regular bind off. And I'm going to do it pretty loosely because I definitely want there to be ease around the hips of my sweater. Off. The front one seems to pop off on its own. It's the back one that's a little stickier. And I'm just going by how it feels. You'll figure out what works best for you with your yarn. So through that one, through the front one, and both of those off. And I'm going to go all the way around the inside of the sweater doing that. So you can see this part is already connected. And I'll keep going around. So it makes a very clean hem, and there is a little bit of a line of demarcation. I didn't love how it looked, so when I did the hem at the bottom, I did it in a different way. I did go around and just sew the stitches, and it's also very neat. So I just wanted to reintroduce this sweater to show you that aspect of it. You'll remember that the yarn that I used for that is the yarn that's up here, Cascade Heritage Silk. Fingering weight, superwash. Not so happy about that. I haven't worn the sweater yet, so I don't know how much it's going to sag, but that remains to be seen. The sweater, I think, is so beautiful, so hopefully it just stays pretty. After I finished that, I knew that I wanted to go back to things that are works in progress, but I had to treat myself with a little quickie project in between, sort of like a palette cleanser. I'd been wanting to make an animal for a while. I've mentioned it a couple of times in the past. So I had borrowed this book from the library a while back. I think I showed it to you once. I had the intention of knitting something from it, but I hadn't gotten around to it. So let me just flip through and show you all kinds of like woodland animals. Was that a lamb? No, a hare. I saw a fluffy tail and I stopped. I chose this, the Eastern Gray Squirrel, but there's a backstory to why I chose this. When I was about 5 years old, I was already like a budding engineer. I was into construction toys. I like to build things. I like to put things together. And I didn't mind if there were a lot of parts. I had the patience as a young child to stay the course, the patience that has served me well as a knitter. So Uncle Harry's toy store was up the street from our house. It was on the corner. And we would always go in there like on our way to a birthday party or whatever to, pick up toys. And it was the place where my mother bought me the 1959 original Barbie. Because Uncle Harry's, he seemed to have an in with the manufacturers. He always had the latest hot stuff, even though it wasn't that big a store. Long story short, we were on the way to my cousin's house, and my mother wanted to have a gift for each of my first cousins. So my cousin Wendy got a lamb chop puppet. Shari Lewis, if you remember her, she had this puppet called Lamb Chop that was a little lamb, very cute. I'll see if I can find a picture. I'll put it here. So my cousin Wendy got a lamb chop. I don't know what my cousin Fred got. I'm not sure what Denny got, but my cousin Barry got this model of a squirrel that had like gray fuzzy stuff that you would glue onto the model after you built it. And the tail was this like beautiful bushy tail. Well, Uncle Harry only had one. And I begged my mother, I was like, oh, Mommy, like, I really want that Perry the squirrel. Well, I'm sorry, Billie. Uncle Harry only has one in stock. And I need to get a gift for Barry. So, you're getting something else, but this is for Barry. For the whole rest of my mother's life, I never let her live it down. Every chance I got, I would bring up, but you didn't get me that Perry the squirrel. Perry the squirrel, it just stayed in my head. So I thought, well, I can get a Perry the squirrel now by knitting my own. So here he is. Even though I always tell you I don't have stash, of course I do have leftover bits of yarns from different projects. This is the gray yarn that I used as a trim on my Charisse sweater, which is mostly white and had like a little gray trim. And this white cotton, I think cotton and nylon yarn, I'll put the names of the yarns on the screen for you, but I think this was from the Neil sweater that I knit. I'll leave links to everything in the show notes so you can go take a look at those two sweaters and see the yarns. And here he is, my little fluffy-tailed Perry the squirrel. I have to find him a little home up here. Come on. So there are a couple of other works in progress that I wanted to get back to working on. For the Rink or the Lynx has been lurking in the background for quite a while. I do intend to get back to it. I don't know. It's just so overwhelming for me. So I had this, and I've been working on it behind the scenes for a while. I haven't shown it to you very often. It's a mashup of two different sweater patterns. One that had this motif and another one that was a basic sweater with a collar. I'll show you the collar in a minute. I had the collar basted on, but when I tried the sweater on, I found I didn't really like the tightness of the collar around my neck. This is meant to be a summer sweater. The yarn is Juniper Moon Pollock, which is a combination of linen and silk. I really wanted it to be a sweater that I could wear on these very hot days that we've been having in New York. So having a collar going up like around here was not appealing when I tried on the basted garment. So let me walk you through the sweater a little bit. Everything is just held together with scrap yarn at the moment. Short sleeve with a little gather in it, which was achieved in a very interesting way. Knit 4 stitches together a few different times, and then on the following row, knit those knit together stitches together again. So it gave you a really like rapid increase just in this one spot. I imagine it's going to make it a little bit of a puffy sleeve. And the other thing that's different about this sweater, which is part of why I love to knit vintage, there's always some unique aspect to it, is that this other shoulder will have buttons going on this diagonal. You can see my little orchid clamps here from the orchids that I've killed. There will be buttons along there, not functional buttons, decorative buttons with snaps behind them. And the pattern calls for putting some fabric behind there, I guess to give it a little more body. But this shoulder piece is separate from the rest of the front of the sweater. So in other words, the front is in 2 pieces, the main large piece and then this little upper corner piece. And this sleeve, I guess, is completely attached to the 2 parts, but this thing will remain only connected by the snaps. So this will not be stitched together permanently. You need that in order to get into the sweater because the neckline is going to be kind of like up around the neck. So here was my original collar. The sweater itself was knit on size 4 and 5 needles, but the collar is knit on a size 1 needle, making it quite a bit stiffer to hold the shape of the collar. So this collar, it's gonna be kind of like this, asymmetrical. But you see how close up around in here it is? So I thought that I might convert this into some kind of a cloche. I'll do something for the top and I don't know, maybe make it a little longer in the back. And I started re-knitting another collar on a size 2 needle, so it's a little bit more flexible. I'm sure after it's washed it's going to flex even more. But not only am I using a larger needle, but it's going to be larger, a little looser around the neck. So I think this will serve me better. Because I haven't shown this to you a lot, I thought I would take a little more time today to run through some of that with you. I know I lied to you about getting into my acquisitions. I am getting there. I'm sorry, I digressed. So another whip that's been hanging around for a while is this black cardigan, the Tyrolean sweater. So both my sleeves are knit and temporarily connected to the back of the sweater. I had knit both the fronts, both the sleeves, and the back pretty much to completion. And when I basted it all together and tried it on, I wasn't so happy with the fit, especially in the shoulder area, always a difficult spot for me. But also in the body, I felt it was a little too voluminous. So I went back to rework parts of it. This is the sweater that I was planning to do a beautiful colorwork motif on the back. And you might remember there was like a big mosaic color band, and I was starting to do some flower that was going to be inside of a Matryoshka doll, like one of those Russian nested dolls. Well, I wasn't happy with how it was coming out. It was my design. It was a little bit of a lark. And I just thought it's going to really detract from the loveliness of the sweater. So I ripped all of that color work out, rewound all the different colors, and then just knit the back solid. But it also gave me the opportunity to do a little bit of resizing. These are just loose stitches off the needle because I'm not done with the back. I want to try and get the fronts and the back kind of in tandem with one another. So I'm going to be knitting all three of them probably at the same time to make sure that it's better fitting around here. I can't say good because I never know if it's going to be, it's never perfect, but I'm always aiming for perfection and falling short. I'm sure you know that feeling. So part of that process was reknitting the two fronts. I felt they were just too big. So I took this front all the way back to the ribbing, and I started to decrease right away because my original go round, the sweater was like a little too poofy in here. I didn't really want that. I wanted it to be a little more on the fitted side. So I've knit 3 of the 4 flowers. I'm partway through the 4th one, but I decided to stop because I wanted to get caught up with the second sleeve. So the second sleeve, you can see even more, I'm almost back to the ribbing. I had been all the way down to the top of the ribbing on this, just a little above where this green marker is where the ribbing ends, and that first green bit of the leaves begins. So I was back to there, and I'm in the process of reknitting the flowers now. When I get this up to the same level as the other front, then I'll knit the 2 of them together and make sure that all of my decreases for the underarm are the same, and so forth. So this is more stuff than I've shown you in quite a while. But wait, there's more, because I need summer sweaters. This is way too hot to wear on a 90 or 100-degree day, which we've had a lot of this summer. So before the summer yarns go away and the stockists start bringing in their fall and winter yarn, I thought, I better grab some summer weight stuff. Well, you know me, it's all about the color. It's all about the color. I had a pattern in mind, and I searched for it in my vintage sources, came up kind of empty. I knew the Stitchcraft magazine that this sweater appeared in the 1930s, and I went out to some of my peeps to ask them, do you have that copy of Stitchcraft? And I found that somebody had the pattern itself and sent it to me. So I will insert a picture here. The picture is in color, and I really like the colors that were shown with the pattern, but I have freedom to choose any 2 colors in the rainbow. So I thought, you hear that knocking? Everybody's doing work now while the weather's good. Having their windows replaced, having new floors put in, I don't know. So I apologize for that noise. Anyway, I thought, yeah, I could knit any two colors I want. I would love like a soft pink and a pale green together. There are a lot of color combinations I love. I love, purple with lavender. The sky's the limit. But I was thinking I really should have it coordinate with bottoms that I have. And mostly I wear black pants, but I do have a pair of navy. So I thought, my husband really likes this kind of nautical look that the sweater has in the blue and the white. So I thought, okay, I could wear that in the summer with a navy pant. So I decided that instead of looking for really gorgeous colors, that I would just settle for the ones that are pictured. But then you have to find the yarn in a local yarn shop. And I started looking, and what I was finding was my local yarn shops don't have the array of colors, and they're starting to have a lot more superwash, which I already had the Cascade 2 sweaters with it, superwash, and I didn't want to go that route again. So, of course, the internet brings shopping from around the world right into my home, but still finding a color palette of a specific yarn company. If I'm doing a sweater with 2 tones, I generally like to have both the yarns be from the same manufacturer and the same line. I made an exception for this sweater because my friend Susie had gifted me this periwinkle blue, but not enough to make a sweater. So I found a contrasting color, completely different yarn, and it works. It's okay. I'm happy with how it turned out, but usually I like to have the same yarn. So to find 2 colors in the same yarn that I liked, that are summery, not superwash, and I've already had the experience with some of my other sweaters that they're sagging. So I was really concerned about the fiber. I don't want to do 100% cotton because I know it's going to sag. Cotton bamboo has limitations. Beth MacDonald Stone assured me that this linen silk blend probably won't sag very much, if at all. It remains to be seen. I haven't washed it yet. I haven't worn it yet, obviously. But I wouldn't want to, this yarn is discontinued, and even if it was still available, I wouldn't want to repeat a yarn that I've already used. So, in short, I'm looking for a new yarn to try. So I don't know exactly how I stumbled upon this, but I saw this yarn that is made of seaweed. They call it sea cell, from a company called Pascuali. And let's see if they say something in here. Their yarns are 100% natural. I'm reading from this booklet. Their yarns are 100% natural, plant-based. They have wool and other things too, but they're plant-based ones. They say they are pioneers in developing innovative plant-based vegan yarns made with organic cotton and fibers like linen, ramie, bamboo, viscose, and sea cell. So my acquisition at my favorite new local yarn shop is called Arctic Pearl. I feel like it should be on like a beautiful plate to present it to you. It says sea cell right there. Revitalizing eco-friendly seaweed fiber. Natural, sustainable luxury yarns. I'm so thrilled to have it. 100% lyocell, which is sea cell. And it says on a US 4 needle or 3.55 millimeter, you'll get 27 stitches and 40 rows to 4 inches square or 10 centimeters square. And a sweater, a long sleeve sweater would take 4 to 5 balls, they say, because there's 268 yards in one ball, or 245 meters if you're metric. So I bought 4 balls of the blue. I didn't want to run short, and 1 ball of the white because the sweater has one part of the collar that's white with blue and the other part of the collar is blue with white, I believe. And the rest of the sweater is going to be blue. So that's my color. Here's the fineness of it. I don't know, to me it looks like fingering weight, and it's an interesting construction. I guess it's kind of like a chainette. Can you see that? I haven't swatched yet. I wanted to show it to you first, but I definitely will be swatching, and if I have time before I publish this, I'll show you my swatch, but I can't promise because I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. Anyway, my mother's name was Pearl, so this is particularly special for me. So I think this is a good place to start to tell you about this shop that I found. In one of my knitting circles that I participate in, a woman came in and said, "Has anybody heard of this shop that's in the basement, Midtown Manhattan, Nabavian?" And none of us had. So I made a mental note that someday, soon, when I'm shopping for yarn, that I should go check this place out. Yesterday was that day. I encouraged my husband to go outside for a walk with me. It was really hot, like disgustingly hot. But it gave us a chance to go for a walk. It's not too far from where we live, less than a mile. And finding the place was a little bit tricky because when you find the address, that's not where it is. It's sort of like the freight entrance for this big building. So we asked, in New York, these guys are called starters. The starter is usually the guy who's at the elevator. You walk into one of these buildings where there's showrooms upstairs and you say, I'm looking for J&R Smith, and they'll tell you, oh, take the elevator to the 4th floor and make a right. I think that's the job of these guys. I don't know. They're sort of like a doorman, but not really. They don't open the door for you. Anyway, the guy said, no, it's not here. Let me show you. And he walked out onto the street with us, and we went, I don't know, 20, 25 feet east and through this like freight entrance and through another door. I felt like Alice in Wonderland. I will put footage here of that experience and of the lovely people who we met. If you're in New York, I encourage you to seek this place out. If you're not in New York, they ship anywhere. They have all these different Pascuali yarns. One is more beautiful than the next. After this one, I know I want to try the cotton cashmere, and they also do a merino. But the beauty of this company is they have a big color palette. So I forget the number, but I would say like 15 or 20 colors, maybe even more, in each of their lines. So for me, I feel like I'm always going to be able to find a color or 2 colors that are going to work for me. And that's separate from what I was mentioning earlier in the episode about this yarn that they have in over 1,000 colors. This stuff. These are bright, but they have all kinds of other things, every shade that you could ever imagine. If it's not too rustic, I could see using this yarn for like everything. It comes in 2 weights. I took the heavier weight just for the purposes of knitting up a quick swatch, but they do have a 2-ply that would probably be more in my wheelhouse. So I don't know where we're going with this, but maybe someplace in the winter. I have other things that I'm thinking of knitting, of course. So stick around for the video, and some of the other stuff that I put together, my cultural experiences in New York. And if you made it to this point in this podcast, let me encourage you to comment below, and I will do a drawing for this Quince & Co. Sparrow 100% linen. The color is Chicory 261 if you want to look at that on Quince's website. It's 50 grams, 168 yards, or 155 meters. And they say on a US 3, you'll get 6 stitches to the inch. It's a very beautiful shade of brown. It has a nice sheen to it, as you can see. I love Quince's yarn, so one lucky viewer with a comment below will be the winner of this. As I approach my 2,000 subscriber milestone, I thought it was time to do a little giveaway. So here you go. Okay, so you have to know about the secret door, and then you got to go down a flight of steps. Danger, high voltage. Let's not go there. Must be down here. Only in New York. Only in New York would you have this secret place that no one knows about. Hi. So I came to look at yarn.
Sure, there's lots of yarn.
Okay.
They just came.
They just came. I saw them online. I'm very excited because the colors on your website look really pretty.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
Yes. So what's the weight of these?
Wait.
That looks
Sure, I
thin.
have to pick up.
It looks thin. Good. Okay, very good.
And
These are Pascuali cotton and cashmere blend. The colors, look how beautiful all these colors are. And these are $13, and it's 153 yards. And they say on a US 4 needle, 23 stitches and 39 rows to 4 inches. But the colors, every color is so pretty. It's a really beautiful, rich navy. And the red. Look at this. And the woman told me that they will have this all year round, even though I think cotton is more of a summer yarn. But keep coming this way. So this is what pulled me into this place. This is made of sea cell, a seaweed fiber. These are $20 a ball. Also on a US 4 needle, 268 yards. Yeah, now we're talking.
So what's the pretty blue that you're going to maybe use?
So I'm thinking of buying this blue. And the blue next to it is so pretty too, really pale. I'm pretty sure
It's such an
there's...
unusual look. I haven't seen yarn that looks like that. But then they told me it was made of seaweed from the ocean.
These are my 2 colors. Gorgeous. Okay, let's keep walking down this aisle because the woman told me they have like 1,000 different colors. So we can move along. Okay, this is just one row I'm showing you, but there's a level above with other colors, and it goes all the way on forever on both sides. Now this is all wool, real woolly wool. I felt some of it. It's a little bit rustic, but if you're looking for any color under the sun, this is the place. Could you believe this? What is hidden underground in Manhattan?
It's mercerized cotton. It's from a well-known brand, DMC. It's a
It's
very
European?
It's from France. DMC is a French brand, well known, especially in the embroidery and needlepoint community. And we stock it for their reliability and reputation. We have it in both 3 and 5 weights. It's a pearl cotton. We also carry their floss as well.
So if you were doing a sweater that had color work and you only needed like a few little colors touches here and there, is this suitable for knitting with?
It's not in the primary intention for it, but if you're looking for accents here and there, I don't see why not. Its intention is, again, for embroidery and needlepoint, but if you're going to just accent it, absolutely. We have new knitting and crochet yarns that we're expanding on because we're new to knitting and crochet. I'm just very careful with what I bring in. I want to make sure we bring in something that's unique and not in every other shop in New York. So, like I was saying, we are new to the knitting and crochet community. We've been very active in New York for over 40 years, but we've been working with weavers and needle pointers. Our background is with antique textile and rug restoration. But the knitting and crochet community is relentless. They've discovered us and they love our yarn.
Here I am.
And yes, here you are. So we have been bringing in knitting and crochet yarns. We started with one German brand that sources from all over the world, which you noticed.
Pascuali.
Yeah. We are also bringing in knitting needles and crochet hooks. They are going to be here in maybe less than a week. But it's the same thing. I'm not in a rush to just bring in anything we can find. I'm trying to find special items. I don't want to step on the toes of the established stores in New York. We're trying to bring in unique items that will stand out, that would be new to the market. But also we are aiming to be all natural. So if you look around our shop,
Bravo.
you'll realize everything is either 100% wool, cashmere, cotton. We are not working with synthetics, and that's always been the case because our main clientele has usually been restoring antique textiles. Never say never. We might end up one day doing it, but it would have to be something really special.
Well, since I live here and I make the circuit of the local yarn shops, I'm finding more and more that they're doing superwash. I don't want superwash.
We don't have superwash.
I don't want superwash, so it's getting harder and harder.
Especially microplastics are everywhere.
Please.
Now that we know about that.
Please. So as they're telling me, like, oh, our customers want superwash because they want the convenience of throwing it in a machine.
It is convenient.
I'm saying there's like nothing in your shop for me to buy. Now what? I have to go online and order?
Well,
but then I heard about you. Yeah.
So here's my take on superwash. I don't want to knock it. I think there's a place for it. When they add the synthetics to the fibers, one, it helps bring the price down, and obviously a lot of people are price conscious, and that's, you can't knock them for that. And two, yes, it makes your life a little bit easier. But here's my take on that. If you're so price conscious on your yarn, you realize you're spending many, many hours, days and weeks on this project. This is your hobby. There's a value there also. You're going to probably regret it eventually and say, I really wish I got that all natural fiber. And you know what? Hand wash it. Hand wash it and leave it out to dry. It's better for the environment.
And you
It's
don't have
better
to
for the
wash it very
garment.
often.
And you don't have to wash it very often. That said, our Pascuali yarns are not superwashed, but they are treated in a natural, environmentally conscious way where many of them are machine washable. Not all of them, but they are still machine washable.
Well, I will swatch and I'll throw it in my machine and see, but I'm a hand wash person.
Definitely don't throw it in the dryer, but yes.
No,
yes.
no.
Yeah, hand wash it. I hand wash myself too.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
It's been a really hectic week. Three significant museum visits in this last week. Twice to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Once for my second go-round of the John Singer Sargent show before it leaves this weekend. And once with Beth MacDonald Stone to see Superfine, which is the exhibit that the Met Gala touts, the first Monday in May. And also a visit to the Frick. I had been to the Frick since its reopening after a closure of several years. There was a special exhibit on Vermeer's love letters. Now, the Frick owns 3 of the existing 30-something Vermeers. The Metropolitan Museum owns 5. There were 3 on display together for this special exhibit called Vermeer's Love Letters. One is owned by the Frick. One is from a museum in Ireland, and the third one was from a museum in the Netherlands. So these 3 paintings have not been exhibited before in the same space. And even though it was a very small exhibit, just 3 paintings, it was worth another trip to the Frick. So there's no photos allowed there, but I did spend some time on both of my recent visits in the beautiful courtyard. So I'll put some footage at the end of that too. So when I was a college student, I used to come to this space. I thought it was the most beautiful place in New York City to bring my textbooks and study. Unfortunately, it was far away from the campus, so I didn't get here very often. But I wanted to come back now that they've remodeled the Frick. The museum was closed for a couple of years, and today is my first day back in a very long time. You're too high up. This is one of the most beautiful places in New York. I can't think of a nicer place to spend the afternoon sitting and just knitting with a beautiful fountain, the garden of the Frick collection. Very rarely do I show you me knitting, so take a look. I'm doing ribbon right now. This is how I do knit one, purl one. The yarn that I'm using is Juniper Moon. It's a linen and silk blend. I forget the name of it. Pollock.
Thanks for staying with me to this point. Take it easy, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your summer. Ciao for now.